Welcome back, or I should say welcome to the Robert Mack podcast. I think I'm going to go with the name Elevate for now. It may change in the future. It may not. At any rate, this is podcast episode number 1. And my guest today, our guest today, is someone that I actually used to be nervous around when I'd see him in public. No. I was so scared to go say hi to him because I didn't want to be a fan that I actually avoided contact with him altogether until one day we bumped paths and it was basically love at first sight. So welcome to our podcast, Eric.
It's an honor to be here. And I was nervous to talk to you at first. Remember, we had a couple misunderstandings at that dinner at the Tom Ferry conference. And then we fought through it and became fast friends. And now 4 years later, we're doing a pod.
Yeah. And this podcast has been a goal of mine for like 4+ years. So to be able to start it off with a bang with someone like you is a dream come true. I'm excited.
Wow, thank you. I'm excited to be
I'm over here too.
Oh, what's
Just
up, dude?
To make sure you knew I was here. So
no one was nervous to talk to you, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness. So tell me what you think about this room, first of all, because I want to get feedback. I want to get
this
feedback.
This is a good clip. Yeah.
I want to, every time I do this, I want to make it slightly better.
Yeah.
And I value your opinion, so I would love to know what your thoughts are in the environment.
I've been on a lot of podcasts, and I have my own podcast. I have 2 of them. And doing them not in person is an enormous pain in the ass and is extremely uncomfortable. There's always mic issues. There's audio issues. There's problems with the headphones, the Wi-Fi, the guest is late. Like there's always something going wrong. Having it in person like this, super comfortable chairs. My posture is fantastic. We sound great in these headphones. The studio is not out in the open, so agents can't hear what we're saying because that can make you uncomfortable. The bathroom situation before you get into the office is fantastic. So everything about this setup makes me extremely comfortable, and it's going to really, really improve the quality of your content just for the fact that we're all in the same room together. We could interact with each other. We could see people's reactions. Oh, yeah. It's going to be, I love it. It's a fantastic setup.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you love it. Coming from you, that means a lot. If you could add one thing to what you see now, what's the one thing you'd add?
Yeah, a little ambiance. The lighting's a little kind of dentist office-esque, I would say. I feel like I don't look great in these lights. I would like maybe some neon fluorescent. No, it's not hurting my eyes or anything. I'm just saying the lighting's not fantastic.
I'm curious to know what the people on the outside viewing think Eric looks like in the lighting.
Drop it in the comments. Let us know, I guess.
Yeah, let us know. We're always looking for ways to make it better, so let us know. So I called you yesterday and I said, hey, listen, Eric, what are 3 things that you're passionate about right now? And you basically told me like 12 things. So already we're off to a rocky start here. But what I took from that yesterday was you love branding, anything around branding, social media, content creation is your jam. And what I heard you say near the end was you love building an email list. So
I do.
I'd love to kind of just unpack those and go a little bit deeper on those. But before we do, I think we should start asking some specific questions.
I think that's a good idea, Robert.
I'm ready.
Good. All right, hold on here. Let me go to my notes.
Are these going to be questions that you ask every guest? Like
No.
a stock group of questions?
No,
Okay.
just like so the name of the podcast is Elevate, and I want to find ways to not only elevate what I'm doing, what Ryan's doing, what you're doing, but also anyone watching this can take this information and say, hey, I can do that and I can get better at it. So I'm looking to interview people that offer something of value and then spread that to the community. So I want to know, one of my questions is at what point did you know that you had something special with the Broke Agent Instagram? Was there a pivotal moment where you're like, holy shit, like I got something here?
I would say the second Tom Ferry conference I went to, just because people started actually recognizing the brand. I was wearing a Broke Agent shirt, I want to say in 2017. So this is probably 2 years after. And this was the first in-person conference that I went to when I actually had a substantial following. And the fact that I had people that were talking to me in person and telling me that they enjoyed the humor and that it helps them get through their day in real estate, that really actually made me feel so much better about where the direction of the brand was going. Because when you're just posting in a vacuum and you're sitting there and you get, likes, comments, engagement, you're like, okay, this is cool. Like people are sharing this online, but actually seeing people physically and telling me like, hey, this is great. This is actually getting me through my day. That's when I was like, all right, this is something like tangible here. This is something that I should keep going with.
Yeah.
So I'd say 2 years after I started really posting consistently.
And you were doing both at the same time, right? You were selling real estate.
Yes.
And you were creating this meme page on Instagram. You don't sell real estate anymore, right? You
Correct.
transitioned out of that. So how long were you in real estate before you said, okay, the broke agent, the media company, that's where it's all at. No more real estate. When did that happen?
So licensed for 5 years until 2020. I'm still licensed right now, but 2020 pandemic is when I went all in on the broke agent. So there was about a 4-month period in Los Angeles where the real estate market kind of just stopped. Maybe it was like 2 months, but a lot of my prospects and clients were done, right? Like COVID hit and we had no idea what to do. So I just completely doubled down on all things broke agent. I was just like, this is what I actually care about. This is what I know I'm good at. I could do all these like virtual conferences and virtual speaking gigs and podcasting and building my email list and posting nonstop because all anybody could do is sit there on their phones and consume content for a couple months, right? So I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to just go all in on this. I know I'm not going to be a real estate agent in 2 years. I knew I wasn't going to be a real estate agent the second I got my license. It always felt like a guise, like it felt like a ruse.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was acting as a real estate agent. And there was like a couple of years where I was like, okay, I'm actually in it now. I feel like I know what I'm talking about and I'm confident in myself as a real estate agent.
As
but
a few leases came to fruition.
yeah, exactly. When I did my own lease, and that's pretty much it. When I negotiated a 6-month lease in my own Brentwood condo, that's when I was like, I am dialed. I am a top producer now. But yeah, it was 5 years of doing both, and that's where all the content came from. Also, is from actually doing real estate. Right? They kind of fed each other.
Yeah.
I needed one without the other. Or I needed one with the other.
Yeah, I mean, selling real estate gave you all the content to create the broke agent.
Exactly.
So how do you, obviously when you sell real estate, you make money, you make memes. How do you make money?
It's not just memes. He's just belittling this entire
Well,
thing.
in the
This is
beginning,
absolutely
it's
ridiculous.
Pigeonholed you. He typed
I'm talking
memes.
about
I did
He's
rap
imitating.
videos. I did blog posts. When I first started, by the way, in 2015, TheBrokeAgent.com was the first thing that we did. So TheBrokeAgent.com was an actual blog, kind of BuzzFeed style, like 5 things to do while you're bored at an open house, just like nonsense blogs with like little to no value. I would write poems about real estate. I did one called like Zillow Sucks, and it was just like a stupid poem. I got a bunch of shares on Facebook, but the whole point was just to distract real estate agents and keep them entertained. But it was Instagram posts, it was tweets, it was Facebook. I had a YouTube channel. I did like an entire real estate rap video and fun videos in my car. So it wasn't just me posting memes, but that was the impetus of it, I would say.
Yeah. Well, no, I remember the reason why I say meme. I'm not trying to belittle.
I know.
But I remember, I'll never forget. We were at a Tom Ferry summit party.
Yeah.
And Carrie Emery actually came up to you, and I think she had never met you, and she's like, "Oh my God, the broke agent. Can we take a photo, and then you could post it on your site?" And you're like, you want me to post a picture of me and you on my meme site? And ever since then, it was a meme site. So
it's an insane request. Like I'm just going to break up the content out of nowhere and just post an individual selfie. But
Ryan,
it's a nice
Ryan,
thing.
when's the first time you heard of the broke agent? At what point? Because you started about 6 years ago. What was your experience with him?
He was this creepy tall guy with the broke
Creepy.
agent shirt on at one of the Tom Ferry events. And they were like, oh, that's the guy. That's the broke agent guy that makes those funny real estate memes and posts. And so I think we met, and I feel like it was probably around 2018 or 2019 because you were starting to go to those events. And I think it was the summit when it was in Anaheim. And we hit it off right away, I think. Immediately we hit it off. We kind of, we
No misunderstandings?
No misunderstanding. No. That was with you that night. With you, it was just like I saw you across the table. I made some joke about your hair, and we were like locked. It was crazy. It was all at the same dinner.
I don't even think his hair was that tall then.
Well, no.
It's evolved so much.
It really has. You're like Super Saiyan right now. It's ridiculous.
It's definitely evolved. But I just felt a warm and fuzzy vibe the first time we met.
The way you describe me as creepy is probably the worst word you could possibly use to describe someone. So thank you.
You're like slightly awkward at times.
Am I?
Not really now, but like in the beginning, because I think you have, like, I am that way too, actually. When I first meet somebody, if I don't know them 100%, I don't feel comfortable. They're not getting all of me. So I hold back a little bit. And sometimes me holding back makes me feel and look weird. And I think you sometimes have that too, where it's like, what do I do with these people?
Are you holding back right now?
No, he said he feels very comfortable.
I'm very comfortable right now.
Except for the lighting.
Yeah, I think the lighting is good.
It feels like he's at the dentist right now. It's like he's getting a cavity.
Yeah, exactly. I'm about to get a root canal. I mean, I guess I can be a little socially awkward, but I think I'm very socially aware. I think that's kind of what causes it, is I'm so...
It brings the anxiety level
It does, because I'm just so aware of how people are communicating with each other, how I'm being perceived. Am I acting the right way? Am I sitting up straight? Like, I got a million thoughts going on at once in my head. That's why my golf game's all over the place. So I think the awkwardness comes from a place of just being aware.
Yeah, I do remember, I think it was a couple years ago at the summit, you mentioned that you got really drunk one night, and
Great.
You were, the next morning, you were a complete head case, and you were like, oh my God, did people see it? Is the brand gone? Is it over? You literally went like down in the dumps instantaneously, because you were so concerned about what everybody thought of you when you were a little bit hammered.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now that it's a serious thing, right? Like now that it's a serious brand, I have to perform well at these conferences. Like the social interactions are very important. So I'm not trying to just get hammered at these conferences. That was a really fun aspect of it. Like 2016, 2017, 2018. Yeah, I guess through the last 5 years, the social aspect of this brand and of meeting everybody and drinking at these conferences is one of my favorite things about real estate. Like the Tom Ferry ecosystem and hanging out with you guys is just, it's a blast. Like it makes the Broke Agent everything worth it.
Yeah. I mean, we're your target audience. So becoming close with us and developing relationships with us and other real estate agents is really your bread and butter.
Yeah, it strengthens the brand too, because if they just see it as the key or just like some guy just firing off memes, it doesn't mean as much. But if you actually meet me and you're like, okay, you're actually, a nice guy, not a creepy guy, then
you're not as pale as they thought you'd
be. Yeah,
exactly.
Then I think it turns out better.
Yeah.
So what do you say to someone who, like in our shoes, right? So Ryan and I create...
Our shoes?
Ryan and I create, I mean, at least in my head, a lot of content. I'm sure there are others that create significantly more, but I feel like we create a lot of content. And we're struggling with finding ways to monetize that content. Like, how do we create more client interactions or engagements with this content? How do we get more people to reach out to us and say, hey, we want to work with you? I feel like we're sort of at a point where we make a ton of content, but it's not really working. So what are we doing wrong? Is that even the right way to think about it?
Yeah, I mean,
you're not trying to.
Yeah, you're not trying to monetize your content in the sense like you're trying to get an advertiser for this podcast or anything. You're talking about actually like recruiting clients, correct?
Right.
Okay. So I think when you're posting a ton of content, you have to be conscious of the fact that you are showing up in people's heads every single time you post. It's not going to be a necessary return on one video, right? You're not going to post a podcast clip like this and then someone's going to reach out to you immediately and DM you and be like, oh, I saw that clip with the Broke Agent. I want to work with you and buy a house in Newport right now, right? It's conditioning your audience to see like, okay, Robert and Ryan are active. They're posting. This content shows that they know about the market. They're entertaining. They obviously have high production quality. Like this is someone I could trust because of the long form, because of the short form. So I think it's that conditioning and kind of setting up those digital real estate signs in people's heads with the consistency is where you're going to see the actual return. So you may not think like, did this lead come from a video? But maybe they watched that video 5 weeks ago and then they start to get reminded when they're like, oh, I'm looking for a house. Oh, I remember seeing that video. Now I'm going to use Robert and Brian. Also, I don't know if you're doing any calls to actions with your content. Are you trying to get your email list up from the content? Are you sending people to a first-time buyer's guide, a seller's guide? Are you collecting subscribers for your YouTube channel? Like, or are you just putting it out and just hoping the content does the work? Because you have to post like with intent.
Yeah, so we're putting it out and hoping the content does the work.
Okay.
Call to action is something that we constantly think about while we're producing content. Like yesterday, Ryan and I, we were in the studio and our producers were like, hey, call to actions are pretty important. Try to throw them in as often as possible. And I think yesterday we did more call to actions than ever before, just to, ask and you shall receive. If you don't, then people don't know that you're thinking about that or don't know what you want.
Yeah.
So we're, it's one of those things where we just constantly find ways to make it better. And that's one thing where I think there's a gap for us.
Yeah. Well, you have to point them in the direction of something at some point. I'm not saying make a sale with every post. Like with every post in the caption, you don't want to be like, check out the link in my story to subscribe to my email list. But you have to do that occasionally, at least in your Instagram stories. Like every time I post on The Broke Agent, I'm consciously thinking like, all right, have I done enough posts and entertainment where I could plug my email list to my stories, or I could plug a podcast or the template platform or BAMX or something like that. Because the reason I have this audience is to, get them somewhere else, right? Like I'm trying to get my Instagram audience onto Facebook, my Facebook audience onto Instagram. I'm trying to get them all on my email list, which is by far just the most important asset that anybody could have, because you actually own that. And your email list distributes all the content too. So if you have a big email list and you're posting this podcast, you're going to get way more clicks on your podcast from sending it out into an email than posting the clips on an Instagram, because very rarely on Instagram are people scrolling saying, oh, I want to go off Instagram, click a link in a story and then go listen to a podcast, right? You just want to scroll on Instagram. Right. So it's about collecting them onto something that's a little bit more like potent, like an email list.
Yeah, I think in my head, the way I have it, and obviously everyone thinks different, and I'm a different age demographic as well, but for me, it's like my thought process is create the podcast, put it on all the channels that podcasts belong on, and then make incredibly engaging reels with hopes that somebody will watch it and go, I've got to watch this entire episode. Click on the bio, go to the podcast, right? But now I'm asking them to leave the medium that they're on to go watch my podcast. You're saying that that's not necessarily a great strategy.
No, I mean, that is the goal of those podcast clips too, but those podcast clips can also go viral or get you followers on Instagram in itself, right? Like my thought, I used to do so many calls to action in the podcast clips where I would say, head to YouTube to watch the Full Over Ass podcast, or head to nowbam.com to watch the walkthrough. And I realized that I care more about that clip in itself. That clip's going to be seen even more than the podcast.
Right.
But the podcast is where you really start to gain that trust, because people hear you converse long form, right? Like it's the 5 to 10 minute YouTube videos. It's listening to you for 40 minutes being like, okay, I really want to work with Robin and Ryan because I trust them. It's not just like a little funny clip. It's something where I really hear their thoughts develop around like a certain topic. So I don't know if I'm negating everything I just said. I just mean like the strategy is twofold. It's like get people to listen to long form, but the clips are just as great, are perfect for the individual platforms like Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. And what I'm hearing you say is like, yeah, you can post the reel and you can direct traffic to your long form content, but you should also be collecting emails and sending out the long form content in the body of the email so you can improve the number of views that you're getting, right? And you're hitting both.
And your Instagram stories are the best way to collect these, because people are more likely to click on Instagram links in your stories as opposed to in your actual feed. So if you give a call to action in a feed, you're giving them like two different things to do. It's like, check out the link in my bio or check out something that's in my caption. Then they have to go to the bio and click on it. Instagram stories, you're already scrolling, links right there. That's way easier. So you're taking out like one more pressure point.
With email lists, do you have multiple email lists that you're growing? Can you tell me a little bit more, or tell us a little bit more about your strategy there?
Yeah, we have a master list that we send out every single day. So we have 5 blog posts per day, and now we have like 8 podcasts and shows. So we link to all of those, and then we'll send out like our memes and everything as well. That's our master list that we've been growing through ebooks, through doing lives, through running ads to ebooks, just through events and parties and live streams. And it's just like everything we do, the goal is to grow the email list. But then we have a categorized base of how people signed up. So if you signed up with us to watch a cold call event, then we have that list sectioned off. Or if you signed up for Instagram hacks or Instagram strategy, we have that list. Or if it's agent tactics, or if it's door knocking, like we have all these ebooks in different categories for agents. So we have these lists just in case we have a product or an event that will be specific to that certain demographic.
Got it. And then you just, the message changes depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah. But I mean, right now we haven't really utilized the different lists like that. Like, for example, like we're doing another cold call event next Wednesday, and we've
it's
already
a database, right?
Yeah,
database cold calling.
Yeah, and we've already done 3 cold call events. So we've already developed that cold call list. So we will be sending out them a specific email saying like, hey, since you enjoyed the last cold call event, we're going to send you a link to it, and then we're going to give you a detailed breakdown afterwards, so we get to hit them twice. And it's all about like creating content around content that you've already created, right? Like we're doing this live, this cold call event. We could do trailers for it. We could post clips from the past cold call event. We're going to have the actual event. And then after that, we're going to do a blog around the entire cold call event, right? So we're getting like 4 or 5 pieces of content from one piece of content.
Right.
It's all about like stretching it as much as possible,
Right.
which you could do with this podcast. You could get 5 or 6 clips. Each of those clips can be embedded into a specific blog. Those are 5 or 6 emails that you could send, you know?
Yeah. It's just like real estate, right? It's like every time you get a listing, how do you turn that one listing into 2, 3,
Exactly.
4, or 5 buyer sales or
Just
seller
from that
sales?
one piece of business,
Right? You're leveraging the content to create more opportunities to find ways to create more business.
Exactly.
And I love that.
We could also create content around the way people react to the content. So we'll even do a blog post or a video on agents reacting to the content. So if we post something that's like super controversial or that people think is stupid and we have a bunch of agents commenting, then we could do another post around that saying like, here's how agents reacted to it, tag all those agents, and they're going to interact with that content too. So we stretch everything because you have to realize that no one is seeing your content ever, basically, right? Like only 10% of people are like of your audience is actually seeing stuff that you're posting on Instagram and Facebook, and they're scrolling right by 90% of the time, right? So you just have to remember, like, even if that post was good or it didn't get great engagement, post it again in the future, embed it in an email, use that topic as a podcast, like test out different things.
Okay.
I feel like I'm all over the place right now.
No, I mean, that's how my brain works too. So I'm picking up what you're putting down for sure.
Hopefully this makes sense.
Ryan, what questions do you have for Eric?
What questions do I have for Eric? God, it's such an open.
I feel like I'm doing
question.
all the talking here.
Yeah, my
dry.
neck's hurting from just looking at you.
Standard
Get a drink
procedure
here.
over here. All the talking done by Robert. No, I think, I have a few rapid fire questions I'd like to ask Eric at the end.
Okay.
But for now,
like,
I
like
would
peanut
like to,
butter or jelly, cats or dogs, some of that bullshit.
It could be.
Okay.
Could be a little mixture. I wanted to keep it light. for you.
Overrated, underrated.
Overrated, underrated. Oh my god. But I would like to know what does it look like on your? Tell me about your day to day.
Okay.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Like, what do you do like on a day, like a regular work week? Like, say it's Monday. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, let's
I wake
go.
up, I create one meme, and I go back to sleep. According to
That's what it was in
Robert.
2017.
No, that's not what it was.
2016.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so when you're
I know there's a year where that's all you did.
Well, yeah, that was certainly. I did feel accomplished after posting one thing, and felt like that was
send
it.
one property to one client.
Send
and
one
that's it.
property to one client, post one meme, and then I was good
Go
to
back
go.
to bed.
Daily action checklist. Tom
Yeah,
Ferry.
exactly.
Wake up at 3 a.m. Do a 3-hour
Cold
guided
plunge.
meditation.
I wake up at 5:45 or 6.
Okay, you already got Robert beat.
Yep,
And you
and
crush me.
now Byron does a show called The Hot Sheet every single morning. That's 9:30 Eastern. So I post about it at 6:30 Eastern. So I start getting the engine started for the promotion for that on Twitter and Instagram stories. So that's the first piece of content that has to go out.
You're posting that yourself.
I'm posting it. Yeah. And then I'm trying to come up with a post for The Broke Agent. I'm trying to come up with a post for bad real estate picks. And then I'm looking through all the edited clips of the Overask podcast, the Walkthrough podcast, the Hot Sheet clips, the House of Agents podcast, whatever podcast just went out.
Yeah.
I'm going through with the clips team to decide which clips need to go on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And then if there's any edits need to be made, I'm in Slack saying like, hey, use this as the hook or whatever. And then Jill and I, who's our creative director, are going over graphics for the blogs, the thumbnails for the YouTube videos, whatever has to go out, because we're publishing all these to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everything. So basically I'm just controlling and quarterbacking the content for that day. And then after all the posting is done, which usually ends around 2 or 3 o'clock when the last blog post or last show goes out, that's when we're already like constructing the email, but we send out the email around like 2 or 3 Eastern. And that's kind of like the final task of the day for BAM. But then I'm still posting and responding to comments and figuring out ways to get people into BAMX or onto our content platform or get emails. So I'm not finished because I'm still responding to people, and then I'm monitoring how the content's being received. If it's being received, then I'm talking to the editing team saying, all right, there's a reason this video did terrible, or like this thumbnail sucks. We need to change this YouTube title. We needed to send out the email earlier tomorrow. And then just looking at all the insights and viewing what's working, what's not, what was the open rate, what was the click-through rate, and then doing it all again the next day. It's a complete nightmare, to be honest.
God, it sounds like
I mean, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. And you're handling all this. You don't have like people doing this for you.
We have a team of 12. So we have editors and VAs and creative directors and writers. But I'm like the head of content. So, I mean, the blogs are being published, but I'm, recommending blog posts or writing blog posts. And then, Jill and I are actually like handcrafting the Canva post that we're doing for Instagram, right? Like any post you see that's on there is because, we've thought about exactly how it should look. What picture should we use? Should we use a meme first? Should we use a meme second? Should we ask a question at the end? How do we form the caption? Are we using hashtags? Like all of this stuff is what's going on, because when you're producing so much content, you have to treat it with respect, right? Because if you're doing a podcast like this and you just throw it up and no one cares about it and you're not doing clips, then you're wasting everybody's time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff, like when you film the walkthrough, that's Dan and myself getting two agents to stop their day, film with us for an hour and a half, deal with the mics and all the bullshit. Ugh. And then we have to come up with a thumbnail. Then we have to embed that thumbnail or that video into a blog post. Sorry, I'm being long-winded here. I'm just like explaining that like the content machine it's like a rat race, nightmare, but it's super rewarding too, because when you see people respond well to something, or you do something that gets a lot of emails or it gets a lot of engagement, you're like, all right, I'm pushing the puck further down the road. The brand's growing awareness, and this is actually going to convert to something at some point,
right. Yeah. I love that. I every now and then I'll get the email and I'll respond with like, hey, great email. Yeah. Or I'll just say something just so that you or your team know
I appreciate that.
There are people
I actually want to
watching and listening.
That too. You mentioned that you respond to all the comments. I don't think you ever responded to
No, I don't respond. I don't respond to all the comments anymore, but that, you should early on, obviously, but it's tough to now. Especially just because I'm posting and then trying to post somewhere else now, so it's like the broke agent, unfortunately, will suffer because I'm so focused on this other stuff. That on the Broke Agent, where I used to post 2 or 3 times a day, 5 to 10 Instagram stories, it's more like 1 a day, 2 a day, 1 or 2 Instagram stories.
Well, the resource, your strategy has changed, your vision has changed, your goals have changed. It's like what got you there isn't going to get you the next level. So it's like, you're working on BAM now. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about that. When did the idea of BAM come alive? I remember it was like 2017 or 2018. I was in Huntington Beach. It was a Team Plus event. I was talking to Byron at the bar. This was the first time I ever met Byron. Yeah. And he was like, hey man, you know a guy named Eric? He's the broke agent. And, him and I, we've developed a relationship. And that was early on, I think, when he had first met you. Where did it go? How did it go from that to we're basically going to become business partners, right?
Yeah. Very naturally. So I met Byron at an Inman conference, I think in 2016. Byron had a media company with his team already and was basically one of the first real estate agents I knew that was doing like podcasting and video clips and everything like that. Like he had me on his podcast in 2015. This is, podcasting just started getting big then, but real estate agents are always like 3 or 4 years behind any like technological or like media trend. And he was like one of the first people. So I just saw him at every conference. And then anytime like Tom Ferry was having a conference, I was like, I got to call Byron. I got to sit with him. Like he knows everybody. Yeah. He got me into all the parties. He was super nice. Now I know he's really mean, but he's like nice and mean. He was just a great communicator and, has the #1 team in Connecticut. I'm like, this guy's dialed, like I got to like learn from this guy and just hang out with him basically. Then 2020, when I started the Overask podcast with Matt Leonetti, and then I did something called the Broke News Network for a while.
And that was BNN.
Yeah, BNN.
With the other guy, right? I don't remember his name.
Ben Fisher. It was great. So that was like the first like...
With the explosions and stuff.
It was great. That was like my favorite content we've ever done.
We all start somewhere, right?
Exactly. I still think it might have been the best, but the platform wasn't right. Like we were posting 8-minute videos on Instagram as opposed to doing it on YouTube. Right. Like IGTV was not the place to be. No one wants to watch anything more than 30 seconds on Instagram. Yeah. So that was kind of the first, I'll connect the dots here with Byron in a second, but that was kind of the first evolution of the brand where I was like, okay, I know a lot about marketing now. So I'm going to talk about real estate agent marketing and how to grow on Instagram and how to grow on Facebook. And Ben's going to talk about real estate news, and we're going to have this show, and it's going to be like the SNL style real estate news show. So that was kind of the first like next step. I was like, can I do something else? Is it going to be well received? Is it fun? And I loved doing it. Didn't get many views, but it was just like, all right, I could like be on camera here. Like I could actually provide value. This is fun. This is fun to create. I'm like better at this kind of stuff than just like posting a meme, right? So then after we did that for like 6 months, it just became too expensive because we're paying an editor. We're making no money on it. I'm like, I can't keep doing this. Then that basically evolved to the Overask podcast with Matt because there's no startup cost for a podcast except if you're getting like a nice studio with this. So that was kind of the next step as to like, all right, now I have another media channel with a podcast. And then Byron and I throughout like the pandemic, we're talking about a real estate course. Like, let's do a funny real estate course. I could teach like Instagram. Byron could teach agent tactics, and Matt Leonetti like acted throughout the course, and we filmed the entire thing. So this was like, a 3-hour course, like an hour of Instagram. Matt's doing like these funny cutaway skits, and the entire thing was like really funny and really valuable. But we're like, we don't want to just sell a course right now. Like this, it feels weird to just do that. It's like kind of the cliche thing, like everyone's just going to sell a course basically. So that kind of molded into, what could we use to sell this possible course? Like, and then we were looking at Inman, we were looking at Housing Wire, The Real Deal, and we're like, these media companies haven't evolved with how people are consuming content right now. Like Inman News is still just posting static images and quotes. There's no podcast, there's no video clips. Housing Wire, same thing. Real Deal's done a fantastic job, but I'm like, I've got a great following. Byron's got like the real estate news and the knowledge. He has a media company. Let's create our own media company and let's put a really fun twist on the real estate business. Let's call it Broke Agent Media, because I thought at that point, like the Broke Agent name wasn't as like toxic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just like a joke anymore. I think people started to take it seriously with the podcasting, with BNN, and like with the ebooks and blogs that I was already putting out. So we officially decided to do that in January of 2021. Launched April 18th of 2022. So we just had like our year anniversary, but
Congrats. Happy anniversary.
yeah, thank you. So yeah, it was like a very just natural, just like, what you're doing with real estate news and marketing, and I know what I'm doing, and I have an audience, you have an audience. Let's combine this. It makes complete sense.
Yeah. It's kind of like the collaborator feature on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You take your audience, I take my audience, let's grow
it's
together.
exactly like that. Yeah, just the simple press of a button.
Push a button and
that's exactly how
you
it
have
is.
a media company.
Yeah.
Send Byron a message, let's collaborate, and then boom, all of a sudden BAM
is born. Exactly.
And so now there's BAM X.
Yeah, tell us about BAM X.
Yes. And then Broke Agent Media transformed to BAM because we were like,
it's so long.
It's long. The name broke still has a negative connotation. And we realized that people didn't want to share our articles on Facebook or Twitter because it had the name broke in it. Like the articles we're posting are serious articles, like there's not like humor intertwined in every single article by any means. A lot of the podcasts there is, but like our writers are serious writers and the information being given is real. So it's not like a bullshit thing. So that's why we dropped.
I've written for you guys many times. I think it's Jill. Is Jill Byron's sister? Who's Byron's sister?
Vanessa.
Yeah,
Vanessa, the head writer. She's fantastic.
She literally, I've written for you guys a bunch of times, and she just calls me and we just talk.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, she's got this
article,
beautiful 500-word article.
I know.
And she's like, this is what I got from our notes. And I was like, do you have any changes? I'm like, no, it's perfect. Send it to print. Let's do this.
I know. It's fantastic. Like that's the one of the hardest things is there's so many real estate agents with great ideas, but they don't want to write, of course. Like, why would you want to sit there and write a blog post?
Yeah.
Right? Like we have writers where you could actually interview with them and then they spit it out. Yeah.
So BAM X now.
Oh yeah, BAM X. So BAM X, BAM X is our first. It's our first paywall content, right? So everything you see on the website and everything in YouTube is completely free. But now we're actually taking everything we've learned and showing you with BAM X. So that's me teaching Instagram strategy, Byron teaching agent tactics, and then we have Tom Story doing a video course. We have Haley Ingram that's doing a Canva course, so like Canva marketing for real estate agents. We have a community, a Facebook community, and then we do live streams in there once a month or possibly bi-monthly. Okay. And it's $15 a month or $10 a month if you get the annual, which is nothing. It's a complete no-brainer. And we actually show you physically how to do everything, right? Like when I talk Instagram strategy or I post a Marketing Monday video, I'm just telling you, like, yeah, post a good story once a day and, do these link clicks or whatever. On BAM X, I'm actually like showing you on screen and showing you like my thought process by like why I'm doing an Instagram story like this, why I'm putting the captions here, how to turn the audio down. Like I'm showing exactly how to do it. And basically our whole goal is to show agents how to create their own media company, right? Because that's the entire goal of all this is to create this. But agents don't know what to do, of course. Like no one's telling them like, okay, you got to do a podcast, but where do you get the mics? We have all that information. How do you do the setup? We have that on all that information. How do you edit the actual video? That's what you get in BAM X.
Okay.
So there's no need to recreate the wheel if you want to build a media company, which is basically what we have to do as agents these days, right? It's not about like the old school ways of marketing. Nowadays,
you are a media company.
We have to be a media company. Yeah. We have to create content if you want to get known and you want to build that brand. So I get it. So what what is your vision for BAM and BAMX? Like, what's the goal?
Vision for BAM is to become the biggest real estate media company. Like, I want to dethrone Inman. I want to throw the biggest events. I want it to be the most fun conferences known to mankind, the most valuable conferences. And I want it to be, the biggest real estate media company. That's simply the goal.
What is what do you have to beat?
Yeah.
Like you're saying, I want to be.
I want to have
Inman. So what? Like,
I'll tell you,
you want to put conferences?
I want to have the biggest email list.
Okay.
Right.
What's the number there?
I don't know. 1,500,000. I don't know what. I mean, how many licensed agents are there? 1.6 million.
There's too many.
Yeah. But we want to expand into mortgage and insurance, like anything kind of like real estate adjacent is what we want to do. Yeah. So I want to have the biggest email list, the biggest blog. So getting the most hits, the biggest conferences, the most shows, the most podcasts, and then the best talent under us also. So I think a lot of these other media companies have just kind of like spit out content, but they're not focusing on developing the following or developing their actual like creators and their talent, right? Like we have guys like Matt Leonetti and Haley Ingram and Dan O'Neill and all these people that are super talented and funny that we're helping like foster and grow their brands as well.
Right.
So, and our entire goal really with BAM is for the real estate community to have more fun and learn through us, right? Like we want to be the go-to destination for real estate content, ideas, marketing, conferences, education, like all that. Like we want it all.
You guys want to have like an annual event too, like in person, just big party?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we threw our first mastermind. We're throwing an event in September.
Was the first mastermind in Florida?
Yeah, in Florida. We're going to throw an event in September. That's going to be like 100, 150 people. So we're going to start kind of small. We've been throwing parties at conferences like Bam Bash last year. We're going to do another one this year at the Tom Ferry conference.
Yeah, I remember Bam Bash.
Yeah,
actually, we don't remember
We
Bam
barely
Bash.
remember Bam Bash.
You guys sent me a video of that while I was feeding my twin girls.
I know.
in the middle of the night, and
It
looked pretty musty.
It was a rager.
It looked
I
pretty
had
musty.
8 tequilas.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I had 8. I was counting, and it was not pretty the next morning.
I'm sure.
I think I have that video.
But it was really pretty that night.
It was so fun. It was just like, it felt like we were dancing.
No one else was there but
Dude,
us.
we were like singing to each other.
We were literally holding each other's hands like this and spinning in circles.
Just singing No Diggity. Like,
yeah, that's what the song was.
It was. It was like a frat party, honestly. I like encouraged everybody to get hammered at it. That was like what I said in my speech. I was like, get hammered. Like, that's it. But it was.
Sorry, it was your first
one.
one.
I spoke that morning too. So now that all the pressure was off of me, I was like, I just need to let my hair down.
Yeah. And that's how I felt too, because there was so much pressure built up for that event for me. Just like all the stuff that goes behind the scenes of even planning that, right? It's just like, how do we market it? Are we going to get people here? How much is this going to cost? Can we get a sponsor? Like, as you know, you guys have thrown events.
It's not easy.
It's a pain in the ass.
It's such a pain in the ass.
It's not like you just book a place. We had to get a DJ. The DJ was playing dog shit for the first like 30 minutes. And I had to be like, dude, stop playing this. I had to ask him like 6 times.
Yeah.
And every time I asked him, he's like, okay, bro. I was just like, dude, I know, like, come, please. These are real estate agents.
It's so tough to have fun at your own event.
Yeah.
At least that's my experience, because there's so much stress leading up to it. And then you get there and it's like, you want to always make sure everything's so perfect. So I'll say from the outsider's perspective, it was awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a great time.
Of fun.
Yeah.
And the open bar helped.
Yeah, the open bar.
Thank you for your generosity.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if that's going to be the case for this one necessarily.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope with real estate agents.
It is. And it's just the expense of that too,
Yeah.
because everyone's just getting 5-6 drinks. Like it's ridiculous. But that was the sort of vibe that I want to bring to conferences too, because it was just so much fun. Like I want people, when they see BAM, when they see our logos, when they see us, they're like, I'm going to have fun with those people and I'm going to learn something from them. You know, like the Tom Ferry conferences do a lot of that for sure. And like, we love throwing events at the Tom Ferry conferences. So it's just like, it's kind of like this perfect, cohesion that we have with them too.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a couple names, people that you're collaborating with. You said Matt, there was a couple others.
Mm-hmm.
I see every now and then so-and-so is now going to be a content creator for Now BAM, and so-and-so.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, like, who are you guys looking for? How do you know when you find a content creator for BAM? What's the partnership look like?
Yeah, so it's an exclusive partnership where they are now content creators for us. So if they're publishing content, it's for BAM. Like, they're not writing for any other blogs. If they're going to conferences, they're being announced as BAM creators. It's like they're a part of our media company, and in turn, we're growing their brand. We're helping them get potential brand deals if they're doing podcasting, if they want to host a course or do speaking gigs or whatever on BAMX. We're going to help facilitate all that. So that's the entire goal with that. Is we understand that there's so much like talent in the real estate industry of funny, smart people that could help with marketing, help with agent tactics, like a Tom Toole. Like, we want them to feel like they're a part of our brand, and we want to promote them and have different voices under BAM, right? Like if you look at Inman or Housing Wire, you don't really know who's a part of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't see the same person consistently. There's a couple of them. And the people that work there are extremely talented. I'm not trying to demean that at all. I just mean like, I feel like it's Inman, right? And then it's just, you see the blogs and that's it. Like I want them to see Dan. I want them to see Matt and Haley and Tessa or Paige or whoever's like a creator.
Right.
And then they're getting bigger, right? And then in turn, they're hearing from different voices. You don't want to just see Byron's face popping up every day or my face popping up every day. Like there was a time there, I think we posted like 15 Byron clips in a row. And he called me just like, I can't look at myself anymore. We can't just keep having this. So the whole goal with this is to grow their brands and to have different voices for BAM.
It's good to have different personalities too,
Yeah.
different flavor.
Exactly.
So how do you, like, what's your avatar for a BAM creator?
Someone that has a unique perspective on a topic that we're not already covering. So for example, like Tom Story is a BAM creator. He's in Canada. So he's like the voice of Canada. He's like the Byron Lazine of Canada. And he's also a great YouTube guy. He's like the YouTube expert. Okay. So that covers YouTube, right? Like Matt Leonetti is funny. He's creating funny videos. He's a great speaker. He's great at marketing. That covers that niche. Dan O'Neill, kind of like similar flavor. Haley Ingram does Canva marketing and social media marketing. Tessa kind of does more like financing and house flipping. So we're looking to like cover holes that we're not already covering. And we're looking for people who are entertaining, who are good on camera, and who are versatile, who could do content blogging, who could do podcasting, who could do video, you know? That's what we're looking for.
I love all that, man.
Yeah.
I love all that. So I heard you mention YouTube a couple times, and I know YouTube's evolved a lot in the last year. Are a lot of agents using YouTube or YouTube Shorts, and should they be?
They certainly should be. I think a lot more are because everybody's just talking about YouTube nonstop. It's like the agent community is finally just discovering YouTube, even though that's been like the most popular platform for years, right? Yeah. But because the return on YouTube is significantly better than Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Sure. Because you're getting that long form, you're getting to understand who that person is. And the way the YouTube algorithm works is like Google, where if you're searching for something, you could tailor the title perfectly to where people will find you, right? Like Instagram, the algorithm and the feed have to push the content to you. YouTube, if I'm a buyer and I want to search something in Newport, 5 best coffee shops in Newport, you have that as your title, you're popping up.
Yeah.
Then they're in your web already. Then they're listening to you, right? And then in that YouTube video, they're getting so used to your voice and the things you say that they're like, I'm going to work with this person. Yeah. So YouTube is the move because not only are you filming long form, but you break the long form into short form. There's YouTube Shorts now, and you could get so much further with 1,000 subscribers on YouTube than you can with 50,000 followers on Instagram.
I love that. Yeah, I had this narrative that long form content was dead.
Yeah.
But it just depends on the medium. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because Tanya and I, we watch long form YouTube videos all day. I mean, you should watch 35-minute gardening videos.
Yeah.
So
that sounds really nice.
Yeah,
it does.
It is. It's very educational.
Yeah, but because you go to YouTube to learn, right? So if I'm moving to a specific area, I'm going to type it in YouTube or like type something about that neighborhood. Like Ken Pozak in Orlando
crushes.
He did like $200 million last year in sales alone from YouTube. Or 200 million in real estate alone from YouTube. So he puts out like a video a day. He cuts up his own shorts, cuts up his own clips, and he gets all of his leads from that. And he has a system in place, and it's just the best return for his content.
Yeah, people are just on YouTube University trying to learn if you can create content. So what are some of the YouTube content that you definitely want to create that's like most searchable to become like to start going in the path of Ken Pozak?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in that, but I think it's super niche content for your area. Like I think going broad and just doing like general real estate education is not the move. But I mean, you can pull topics that are.
That's why our shit's not working.
Because
we're very broad.
Yeah.
Like for example, there's the luxury house tour thing that caught on. That was something that was a niche on Instagram. Right. I'm sorry, that on YouTube. People are watching those long forms and they're attracted to sexy luxury homes. And then if you're the person doing it, whether it's your listing or not, people are associating and watching and getting comfortable. So it's similar. We don't have a niche on YouTube.
Specific is terrific.
Yeah, specific is terrific.
Right.
I think becoming the local market digital mayor, whatever, of YouTube is the way to go. Just anytime a new coffee shop, a new restaurant, a new development, Like look at Jeremy Knight's channel. Like it's 5 reasons you should move to Austin, 5 reasons you shouldn't move to Austin. Like he just tweaks all of his titles. And any agent watching this can go to Jeremy Knight, Dan Parker, Ken Pozak, go to their titles, rip it off, and just throw whatever town you're in. Because they've already like built the entire formula of exactly what to do. So exactly.
It's working for them, follow their lead.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that niche content that people are searching for. And you're not going to get 40,000 views on something like this, right? But it's not the vanity metrics that matter for YouTube. It's, am I going to get 500 views of people who are actual prospects and clients who are like watching this content, trying to actually learn about the specific development or neighborhood? And if those are the people that you want.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to build something to actually build your real estate business, right? Like I think a lot of agents just get caught up in, I want to build a media company because, oh, now I'm getting more likes and engagement. This is awesome. But like, what is your goal, right? Like, what's your goal with this?
Well, the goal for the podcast is to learn and grow as a human being.
Okay.
Just because I'm learning from you and I can implement this into my business, but I also want to create content that the people that follow me can absorb and appreciate, right? So, and I also want to build credibility among myself, my peers, and potential people. So I'm just getting started, and I'm sure those goals will change, but
that's a good goal. And I think like podcasting also is so good because you become a better speaker. You find better ways to search for questions within conversations because there's a lot of like down moments, or maybe the person speaking is not giving you the right answer. So you have to like look through your questions, figure out what to say. Like it's a fun way to communicate. It's difficult, but it's like, are we flowing right now? Is this valuable to the audience? Are you talking too much? Is he talking too much? Like all these different things are going on in your head during podcasting that it makes you a better communicator. Or maybe it's just me.
Is that what you're thinking every single time?
Oh
on a podcast?
my God, of course.
I'm a head case right now. I'm a complete head case, right?
You're crushing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of my client events where it's like, is everyone having a good time? Is it flowing? Do we look good? But
I'd say I'm having about a 6 out of 10 good time.
Yeah. In full transparency, I'm actually extremely uncomfortable. I don't feel...
Really?
Well, no, I truly feel like I need to work on my question asking skills. Like that's one thing that I've always wanted to be better at, is asking the right questions, going deeper.
I was terrified to be on your podcast, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
You crushed it on that too,
dude. I
both
didn't know,
of you guys.
Well, and it was the first time I've ever done it digitally.
Yeah.
And StreamYard, and like the camera was looking at me from the side, not straight on. I was like looking, and there was like internet issues. You guys made the intro about me dropping off camera that made fun of my hair.
Right.
But I was terrified. I was like, because I was thinking what you were just probably thinking. What you were thinking, I was like, am I gonna be good enough for these guys? Like, is this gonna be good? Are people liking it? So I guess it goes all around, right?
It does. I'm sorry you're uncomfortable. I hope I'm not making you uncomfortable.
No, you know
I'm
what
sorry,
I mean.
you're
uncomfortable. You guys know me.
Oh, you definitely make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You guys know I
You
like.
said this is a 6 out of 10. I'm extremely awkward, creepy, and I'm making you super uncomfortable. This is bullshit. I drove 45 minutes for this.
Don't worry,
like putting myself into uncomfortable situations because they force me to grow. So when I say I'm uncomfortable, I'm not like uncomfortable.
Tony
it's
Robbins.
just I know that the more I do this, the better I'll get at questions. And so that's what I want. Like, I just feel like I suck at asking questions. So I want to get better at it. So
dude, I still feel like I suck, by the way. Like, there's so many over ask episodes or walkthrough episodes where I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I suck at this.
What am I doing here?
Like, seriously, because like you are so conscious of like, is Matt speaking too much? Am I speaking too much? Am I trying to be funny? Is he being too funny? Is the guest thinking we're morons here? Like, is there a delay? Like, what's the title going to be? Did I ask that question
I'm thinking
wrong?
I'm hoping these are recording. That's one thing. I'm like,
How great would that be?
Post.
Just absolutely nothing.
Like we're just talking, but nothing's on. I don't even know. So look,
that'd be so good.
I'm not doing it again.
I got a couple more questions, and then we can do rapid fire, and I think wrap it up.
Right,
so one of my questions, actually probably my last question is, what's the one thing? Let me preface this. The one thing I love about you and what you've built is you don't have to be a real estate agent to learn from what you're putting out there. You can do anything. You could be a doctor, a plastic surgeon. You could be a psychologist. In fact, Tanya's brother is a psychologist in Australia, and he's been watching what we've been doing, you and me, Ryan, and he started creating long-form content, and then he started creating clips, short-form content around the long-form content, and I'm like, dude, good for you.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do, like what you are preaching works for any industry. So whether you're in real estate or you're in sales, you're trying to grow your dental practice, it doesn't matter. What's the one thing that every business should be doing at the lowest level? Social media wise, the lowest level.
The lowest
Like, if
level.
you're
I
not
think
doing
the
it, you're not in the
lowest,
game.
the lowest possible level is a principle that I live and die by, which is just consistency. I know that's like the most cliche shit you could possibly say, but I am really proud of myself actually, just how damn consistent like the Broke Agent and BAM is. You know, like every single day, the Broke Agent posts, right? There's always stories up. There's always a Broke Agent post every single day, no matter what. I missed 2 days, my wedding, and then like one day on my honeymoon because I was in Thailand, and I just, the time difference. I was going to like post it at 3 a.m. Exactly, and it's those little building blocks that build the brand, right? Like it wasn't one viral post. It wasn't like Ryan Serhant sharing something, although he did. It was just like, this is
Threw that in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Although he did.
I just mean like, it wasn't like, I made one funny video and then all of a sudden like this following or brand existed. It was like a slow building block. Like it's these little stories you do, these questions, it's like all this stuff that you do that like brick by brick is like Dave Portnoy would say of building the brand. So it's the consistency and knowing that eventually that consistency is going to outlast the other people in your competition, right? Because there's been other meme accounts pop up. There's been other media companies. There's been other people doing clips, like, but we're gonna outpace them, right?
Yeah.
Like we're posting 4 or 5 days on our feed, no matter what, on BAM. Like Inman's doing once. Like I'm looking at the competition, I'm evaluating and being like, we're doing more and we're doing better and we're doing more quality content. So consistency.
No, I love that.
I got one more actually, too.
Okay, I'd love that.
I actually have 7. I have 7 principles of branding, if you want. No, I'm not going to give you all 7, but evolution too is extremely important. Like, are you willing to evolve with the content? So as Instagram evolves, as these apps evolve, you have to be willing to start posting and formatting content the way people want to consume content. So like TikTok, when that came out in 2019, 2018, whatever, Musically, short form vertical video, I was pissed because I'm like, this is hurting my bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm a meme guy. I'm a writer. I'm a tweet person. I don't want to be on video. I don't want to do this. But if I just kept doing memes and tweets or whatever, my brand would have died. Right. So it's about evolving and be willing to evolve and put yourself in those situations where it might suck to do a podcast or do stuff like this, but just know that that's the step in the right direction to continue the brand.
I love that. Chris Benjamin came on and said, just do it.
Yeah.
And to add to what he said, it's do it consistently.
Yeah.
And then evolve with the time. So just make it better over time, which is why, that's why we tell people all the time, just start.
Yeah.
Just make it. Once you make it, you can go back and look at it and find ways to make it a little bit better. But consistency and evolution, I love those. Thank you.
Yeah. Tweaking the insights too is extremely important. Like, don't just consistently post and just throw it out there and that's it. Like you can't just like live by that principle, right? Like if you're consistently putting out shit, then no one's going to care, right? But so you have to keep looking, being like, all right, why did this one get 10 likes and this one get 5 likes? Okay, maybe that's a concept that I keep using, right? Why did this one get more shares? Why did this one get more saves? Why did this email get more opens? This title was formatted. I used this amount of emojis, or I used, plus in the subheader. Like you have to look at all that stuff and evaluate what are the numbers like, and then evolve.
I love that.
Yeah.
I got one last question.
All right.
What should be on every content creator's radar right now? Like what's the one, like, when they're like, hey Gary, what's the next best thing? When you're talking to Gary Vee, like what's out there right now that not a lot of people are using, but they absolutely should be using or looking into right now?
I've been talking about it nonstop, but I think the green screen features on Instagram and TikTok are the easiest way agents can make trending content. So what I mean by green screen filter is it's literally a filter on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever, where you have an article or you have something in the background of what you're saying, right? So if there's a trending article about a Newport development or something, you could easily green screen that feature in your trend jacking. You could read the article while you're talking and it doesn't look like you're like reading a script, because it's actually on your phone right there. Right. So it's the best editing feature, and it's really consumable content because the article acts as a hook itself, because you're visually seeing what it is. Like Chris Benjamin does the best green screens ever. He's scrolling through the actual article, he's highlighting certain features, he's got like great audio in the background, and that sort of content with like the quick cuts and then giving like a strong call to action at the end, I think is the easiest content that agents can make, where you don't need a film crew, you don't need an editing process, anything like that. So I'd say the green screen.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's go into.
Surprised I actually answered that one. That was a
That's
tough
great.
question.
I mean,
Yeah.
anybody watching this right now is taking away 2 or 3 nuggets easily.
We hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Easily.
Okay.
Rapid fire.
We're gonna
Peanut butter or jelly?
We are going to
Sharks or whales?
We're going to wrap this up with some rapid fire Q&A. I'm just going to go ahead and rattle off the question, and you're just going to say the answer real quick and easy.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. What's the best day and time to post on Instagram and Facebook?
Monday through Thursday from 9 to 1 p.m. Those are the best times.
Okay. Does email marketing work?
Of course. What a stupid question. What a fool's question. What am I going to say after all that? No, it doesn't.
I made this
talked
before
about it
you
for the
came
first
on.
30 minutes. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do to relax? If you ever relax.
I like going to the driving range by myself.
God, that sounds like it would be the worst thing for you to do.
No, it's not. I hit it well at the
No
driving
pressure.
listen to
range.
music?
There's
You
no
course.
pressure at the driving range.
No,
do you
Perfect
like to
place
put your
go.
AirPods in?
I
and
put
do
my
it?
AirPods
Me
in.
too.
I listen to a far
Yeah.
right wing podcast, and
Okay.
I just whack away the ball for 60
I love
minutes.
that.
Just kidding.
No, you're not.
Just kidding, audience.
Which brings me to the next one. What is your golf handicap?
Oh my God, I haven't kept one. It's got to be a 15, something like that.
What is Dan O'Neill's handicap?
He'll say a 6, but it's a 15.
That's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you wish you did differently when starting the Broke Agent journey?
Focus way more on YouTube for sure. Like that is, we've built our channel to 15,000 subscribers now, but I basically didn't post on YouTube from 2016 to 2020. And that is, again, the best platform for conversion. So do more on YouTube and then build that list way sooner. I didn't start building the list until 2018, 2019 with ebooks. If I was collecting emails from 2015 to now, we'd have 500,000 emails.
Yeah. Okay, so YouTube comes up again. I love
Yeah.
it. Okay. What's your favorite city that you've traveled to?
My favorite city, I like Miami a lot.
I'm going there.
Miami's
Wednesday.
fantastic. I used to go there every winter break. It's
Yeah.
a lot of Jews go to. I'm Jewish, so a lot of Jews go down
Let me
there.
preface that.
Yeah, it would sound weird if I wasn't.
No, I know.
But-
I like how you threw
That's
it
the
in
clip.
instantly.
exactly. A lot of Jews
Instantly.
go down there, so I like to
Instantly
go hang
threw it.
out
You
with
want to be
Jewish.
with your people?
Yeah,
God.
my dad's from New York, so
Okay.
they always used to go down there for winter break. So I love Miami. It's great. Great sports teams, great weather, beautiful women, parties, everything.
Okay. I'm going Wednesday. I'm going to take your
You're
word
going Wednesday to
for it. This
Miami,
Wednesday.
actually?
Yes.
For what?
For Eric Crumbaker's 40th birthday.
Oh,
party.
that'll be sick.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying that it's in Miami, though, huh? Have to travel 2,000 miles. It's expensive as hell. It's kind of selfish.
No comment. I'm booked and I'm going. Let's
Yeah,
just
so,
say
so
that.
my friend's having a bachelor party in Miami
And
in
where is
July.
it?
I was
Like
like, dude,
Japan?
come on. No, it's in Miami.
Yeah.
No, it's
And he
definitely
wants-
thousands of dollars to go.
Dude, he's getting an insane house. I already looked at the thing. It's like $2,500 just for the house. The more plus plane tickets. They're gonna do bottle service every night. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna lose 10 grand at this thing.
Yeah.
I want to blow my head off afterwards. I'm not going.
Yeah.
You're buying
And I'm not.
You're buying memories.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you afraid of public speaking?
I'm getting way better at it, but I think the nerves are a good thing because it means I care, right? Or at least that's what people say they mean. But I get nervous for public speaking for sure.
Okay.
Because I care about what I do. You know, you don't want to look like an idiot.
Of course, nobody wants to look like an idiot.
Yeah. Okay, good. Why are you looking at me like I'm insane?
I'm just trying not to talk. I feel like I've been talking the whole time, so I don't want to rain on this
You're
parade.
saying that like-
I have like so many things I want to say, but I'm like, don't
You
say
can
it.
say
don't
whatever you
it.
want. The rapid fire question for him, he has to give us an answer. All right.
Okay.
Next one. Did you ever play sports competitively?
Oh, what a ridiculous question. Of course I did. 2 sport
I
varsity
don't need
athletes.
you to say it's a ridiculous question.
I mean,
for every
two
question.
of course,
Sport
yeah.
varsity athlete. You live in what, Al Bundy? You live in the high school
state
days?
championship, state championship, state championship, state championship. I had nothing to do with it, but
you
I
were
was
on
on
the
the
team.
tennis team.
Okay.
Golf for 2 years. And
Competitive golf?
Yeah, high school golf.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
See,
game
I
is
would-
deteriorating
I thought for
since
sure you're
then.
going to say baseball.
I love baseball, but
you
I didn't
never-
play high school baseball. I played little league, and then I didn't hit puberty until like sophomore year of high school, so I couldn't get the ball out of the infield, and then switched to golf.
Okay.
This guy looks like he's about to
I know.
fart.
You can't lose it.
Yeah, I'm like, you're about to explode.
Okay.
Just not breathing.
Do the number of followers really matter?
I mean, I sound like an asshole. It matters. It matters for your brand, yeah. The amount of real followers matters for sure. Does it matter for the quality of your life or the way people think about you? No. I just think it matters for conversions. It matters for clicks.
Okay.
Yeah, it matters a little bit.
Okay.
There's no right answer.
Yeah,
for that
because
one.
you hear people say all the time, "Oh, it doesn't matter how many followers you have and all that stuff," but it does to an extent.
Well, yeah, but if you have 200,000 fake followers, that doesn't matter.
No, fake followers.
But people who say it doesn't matter how many followers you have usually don't have any followers.
It's true.
Yeah, it's just such like a moral preening thing to say. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we're creating content to grow our following.
Of course, the following of course
the following matters.
Of course,
right?
it matters.
But again, it goes down to quality though, not necessarily quantity. So if you have fake followers or non-engaging followers, then that's when it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Like, you really want people to be able to interact with you.
If the Broke Agent had 0 followers and no one would be seeing the content, so it of course matters.
Okay, we'll move on. So, last question. You ready? What's the best single piece of advice that someone's ever given to you? It could be personal. It can be business.
Honestly,
oriented. What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
I really liked, I think it was Chris's speech at Tom Ferry Summit.
Chris
Benjamin.
Uh-huh.
Or I don't know if TF said this or Chris said this, or maybe now TF saying it because Chris said this, or Chris said this because TF said it. I don't know what's going on. But the no one cares about what's happening in your personal life thing to me hits home so much in terms of like a work environment. Like if you're a real estate agent and your dad dies or your dog dies or you just got broken up with or whatever horrible thing happened, other people don't care, right? Like your client, they'll be empathetic about it, but they ultimately don't care. Right. And I'm finding this, like, now that we have like a 12-person company and, you know, something happens, a baby's born, or like I'm on a wedding, or I'm in, you know, whatever the case is, like stuff still has to get done. And I don't know, I've taken that to heart in the terms of like, I don't need to involve people in my shit, like emotionally, right? Like if I'm stressed or, you know, the wedding was going on or something, like I showed it so much throughout that time period. Like there's a 3-month time period, every Zoom popped on and I looked insane. Like because I was just getting
normal.
Yeah. Because I was just getting yelled at every night. And like, you know, it just
getting yelled
the
at
wedding,
every night.
You know, the wedding's like a stressful thing, right?
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, I was just always talking about it.
You sound like you were planning your own wedding.
I planned nothing about it. I was just getting yelled at.
Just wanted to make sure you got that out for your wife so she could see you.
And if you're watching this, you did everything. She's definitely not going to watch this. And if she was, she would not watch 50 minutes of a podcast like this. That would be, she would love me too much if that were the case. Okay.
I love that advice.
Okay, so on that note.
No, I think that's amazing advice. It's true.
It is true. Nobody cares.
Well, look.
I don't know what to do with that information that nobody cares because we're humans.
It's a motivational, it's a driving force because it's true. Like nobody cares.
I'm not saying like if there's a death or something to be like, oh, they don't care, so I don't care. I just mean like
if you have an obligation to do a job and to work and nobody cares about all the other stuff.
It's like no one cares about everyone else's job either. Like when an agent comes in to start complaining to you about their clients, you don't care. It's annoying, right?
Right.
Like even when your friend starts talking about their job, that's annoying because you don't know their coworkers.
Yeah.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
do I sound insane?
No, it's no. Look, it's we don't want to sound unempathetic or unsympathetic.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, like life goes on, business goes on, clients have expectations, team members have expectations, so you got to make it happen.
It's about putting systems in place where if that's going on in your life, you have other people to fill in the gaps, I think.
Yeah.
And then the final advice, I guess, would be obviously hire people that have strengths that are different than yours, which is not my original thought at all, but
well, if there's,
I'm not good at like Byron, like the way this partnership works. Like Byron is so good at business. He's more cutthroat than me. He knows how to like communicate with people. He understands real estate news. I understand marketing. He does too. But like, it's like the perfect like synergy. Mm-hmm. Like if I were just work with another creative like myself, the company would be a disaster. We'd be all over the place. We'd be in our head. We'd be crying. We'd be mad at each other. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you have to have people that are doing stuff that's different than you.
You guys complement each other.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Eric, thank you for making the 45-minute drive from LA to Orange County to be with us in person.
Of course.
This was awesome, man. This was a great way to kick off the Elevate podcast. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or you want to, actually, you know what? Before I end this, hold on. Eric, please tell everybody how they can find you.
Yeah, go on now.
What are your best portals, your mediums?
Go on nowbam.com. There's an email that's going to pop up immediately, an email grab. Throw your email in there. Get on our email list so you can see everything that I've been talking about. You can see the genius emails that we format with the blog posts and the shows. And then the top right corner of nowbam.com, click BAMX, hit subscribe, $15 a month.
$10
a month if you pay for the annual. What is that, a Frappuccino a month to learn the shit that we're talking about right now?
And
Why
again,
is it ridiculous?
I stand behind it. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate, or it doesn't matter if you're running a business. You should be putting content out online so you can develop and build your brand.
If
and
you're a
grow your email
veterinarian,
list.
you should be in BAMX. If you're a plumber, you should be in BAMX.
Yep.
If you're a golfer, you should be in BAMX.
Definitely be.
Yeah.
So you heard
if you're
it
a
here.
dog, you should be in BAMX.
Yes.
Like an actual dog.
You should.
You know?
Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. If you have any future guest ideas, comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are, and we'll see you next time.